Hello, my name is Naguura, and today we're going to be talking about the MAW. What is the MAW? What do you get in the MAW? Why should you go there? And what is the fastest way to clear the MAW? First of all, we're going to be starting with a list. Since people love lists and it's a very short explanation, we're going to go into more details later on. All right, the MAW is a level 60 only zone, first of all. Now, what do you get in the MAW? You get Stygia, a currency to buy items from Venari. You get reputation with Venari. Certain items that you can buy from Venari are locked behind that reputation. And then you can also get certain legendary recipes from the Wrath of the Jailer event. I will talk about this later. Now, what is Stygia and reputation with Venari for? You can buy items to make Torghast easier with that Stygia and reputation. You can buy conduits. Now, these conduits are random conduits out of the lowest item level conduits that you have. So this is more of a emergency thing or a gimmick and not really reliable. And you can buy a socket slot to put on your items. The socket slot is probably the most important thing about Stygia and the biggest reason why people are doing the MAW. Now, your actions in the MAW incur the Eye of the Jailer, making it increasingly difficult for you to spend time in the MAW. This resets daily. Alright, so here's what you should do to get the maximum amount of Stygia and reputation every day and every week. Alright, so the first 1 to 3 times you go into the MAW, you might have campaign quests there, which you only do once to get your campaign done. And then afterwards, once you finish those campaign quests, you have the same things every day and every week. So the daily things there are in the MAW are 2 daily quests. They are marked with 2 blue exclamation marks on the map. So make sure you pick those up as you go through the MAW. There's also going to be objectives, bonus objectives, and rare mobs all over the MAW. They're visible with skull icons on the minimap, and you also see gray arrows pointing towards those objectives if you're close to them. So make sure you keep an eye on that. And then there's 2 weekly things as well. First of all, there's an event called Wrath of the Jailer. This event is visible on the map with a big skull icon or 2 crossing swords. The event can be in different locations, and it awards Stygia, reputation, legendary recipes. Depending on your class, you might get one there. And it also can drop epic items. You can only get these rewards once a week, so there's no benefit of doing this event multiple times. This event might be there a lot. You might see it every time that you're in the MAW, but no need to do this multiple times. You do not get the reward again until the next ID reset. Now, the other weekly thing is weekly quests. This is actually a quest that you cannot miss. For example, when you enter Oribos, there's going to be an NPC spawning behind your character, pretending to be Venari, and it will give you a weekly quest that you should just go and do in the MAW afterwards. It is weekly, so don't worry if you've already done it this week, maybe you don't remember, but just remember to do it next week and focus on getting it done because it gives a lot of reputation and a lot of Stygia. Also, War Mode actually increases the reputation you get from this quest, so think about turning on War Mode for this specifically if you don't have really high Stygia already, because you will lose Stygia if you die in the MAW, and I will explain that later. Alright, let's talk about how much time you should spend in the MAW every day. First of all, I'm going to explain the Eye of the Jailer, which is basically the daily cap that you can spend in the MAW. Now, the more mobs you kill and the more Stygia you earn in the MAW, the more your threat towards the Eye of the Jailer increases. There are 5 tiers in total of the eye. You start with 0 and it decreases steadily. The first tier is going to be the Soul Seeker attacks you on sight. The Soul Seekers are just mobs that attack you. They're casters, they can be interrupted, and it's really not a big deal, so don't worry about those too much. Number 2, tier 2, is going to be towers bombarding you with swirlies. This is just like a really big wide swirl that spawns underneath your character that you just need to walk out of, so just pay attention and you should be fine. Number 3 is going to be assassins attacking you sometimes. Now, once in a while, it will say something like, you are being hunted, and 2 red eyes are being visible above your head. Now, if this happens, the next time you get in combat, there will be an assassin spawning, and it will attack you. These assassins are player AIs, so they can interrupt you, they can stun you, charge you, all that kind of stuff. So make sure you pay attention to this, because if you're engaging a really big elite mob, for example, and then you also get an assassin on top, then that might be bad. So maybe you should be looking for a not so angry, not so difficult mob, and attack that one first to make sure that assassin is not going to be an issue for you. Tier number 4 is going to be winged abductors hunt you from above. So sometimes there's going to be abductor coming down, picking you up and dragging you up into the air. So you have to target this one and kill it. Once you kill it, it will drop you. So definitely want to make sure that you have any ability to not take the fall damage. So for example, you have a disengage or a blink, and if you are a class that has nothing for fall damage, then I would definitely recommend to carry around Goblin Gliders with you. Goblin Gliders are not only good for this specifically, but it's also good generally in the MAW to get around from one area to another because there's a lot of elevated areas. So make sure you have the Goblin Gliders around, everyone can pick them up. You don't have to be an engineer for it. Just go and get them and bind them somewhere as an emergency so you don't die to fall damage. All right, number 5, the Jailer rapidly erodes your life force. Basically, this is so once you reach level 5, you're not going to immediately die, so don't worry about it. But once you do reach 5, you will get a stacking debuff on you that reduces your healing taken by 10% per stack. This stacks up slowly over 100 seconds, I believe. So once you hit 10 stacks, you will have 100% reduced healing taken, so you're immune to healing. And you will also get a debuff that damages you every second. So that means you will die after 10 seconds because there's no way for you to heal yourself, right? So once you have 10 stacks, you definitely want to get out of there as soon as you can. Otherwise, you will inevitably die. Another thing, once you're tier 5 of Eye of the Jailer, you can't earn any Stygia anymore. And this is very important. So there's no reason for you to min-max staying inside the MAW when you have tier 5 from Eye of the Jailer, because you can't earn any Stygia anymore, except from turning in quests. That will still give you Stygia. But killing mobs and rares will not give you anything, so there's no point to really prolong this. Alright, so if you die in the MAW, you will lose 17% of all of your Stygia. But you can go back to your body and loot it to get it back. But if you die a second time before you go back to your body, you will lose everything. If you die to another player, you will not lose 70%, but more like 1%. So a lot less of your Stygia, and it's not that bad if you die to another player. But another player could get you low HP, and then you might die to a mob, and then you lose 70%. So just make sure you be aware of that when you have War Mode on, maybe for the weekly quest. There's also a thing you can do to actually abuse this is when you're in the middle of a boss fight or in the middle of a really big pull and you feel like you're going to end up dying without any way of you surviving this, then maybe if you have War Mode on and you see an alliance or horde player of the opposite faction, then maybe that player is going to kill you instead of the mobs killing you. So you avoid losing the 70% instead. But that would be more of a Hail Mary than anything else. All right, so here are my tips on how to do your daily MAW clear quickly and what you should be doing to prepare for it. All right, first of all, go with a group. I think it's so much easier to go with a group because there's a lot of elite mobs that sometimes are not CCable at all with like stuns or knockbacks or anything. So you're gonna have a really hard time, especially when you're undergeared, to do this by yourself. So try to find a group or at least find one other player that you can do this with. Then bring consumables, specifically health potions, because dying is not very nice in the MAW, and bring Goblin Gliders, as I said earlier. Another thing, you can also bring reputation buffs. Right now there's a Thanksgiving event going on that gives you 10% reputation buff for 1 hour when you eat from each feast. So 5 times, I believe. So make sure you do that. It's in front of Orgrimmar or in front of Ironforge if you're Alliance. And when the Dark Moon event is up, you probably can get the reputation buff as well. One more thing to note is that the banners, the guild banners, they don't work, so you don't have to put those down. Now, another thing is if you can somehow have pets or anything like that can taunt for you, then you should definitely be bringing those. If you have Force of Nature or Earth Elemental, or you're a hunter, you can bring your pet, make sure you do that. Then another thing is you cannot mount in the MAW at all. So this means definitely bring any sort of movement talents that you have or anything else that will help you out with movement. Now, if you're a druid, make sure you have the mountable stack form. You actually need to go to the Dream Grove, to Amora Thistledew, and you need to buy a Tome of the Wilds to be able to have other people jump on your stack form. I will also post a macro below that makes it a lot easier for you to just always use the stack form, so you don't have to have 2 different bindings for the normal stack form and this the mountable one, okay? So just look in the description below and take that macro if you need it. Okay, moving on. You should be focusing on the daily things and the weekly things that I mentioned above. And then afterwards, you should focus on killing rares and doing bonus objectives because those will reward you with the most Stygia and with the most reputation. Keep in mind that doing things that give more Stygia and more reputation will also increase your Eye of the Jailer threat correspondingly. So just make sure that you keep an eye on that. But this is the fastest way of clearing the MAW. Now, make sure you stay within these areas as they're shown on the map here, because the other areas are going to be unlocked later once you have more reputation with Venari, and the enemies that are there are too powerful, so just make sure you stay within the marked area. All right, one more thing is make sure that you have a plan when you enter the MAW, because there's certain things you can do to increase the amount of time that you spend there and increase the amount of Stygia that you get once you're inside. Specifically with the daily quests. The daily quests, a lot of the times they require you to loot things or to click on things and so on. Now, the threat towards the Eye of the Jailer only increases once you finish that quest. So when you have to loot 12 somethings, then instead of looting all 12, you can loot 11 and then move on and do other things, because then the threat towards Eye of the Jailer didn't increase yet. So you kill other mobs, you go kill rare mobs and so on. And once you're on Eye of the Jailer 5, so once you've completely maxed out everything that you can do, you can go back to that area. Just make sure you're not too far away from that daily quest area. Make sure you're close by. Get to level 5, go back to the daily area, finish the daily area by looting one more, whatever it is. Then you use your Cipher of Relocation to get back to Venari, and then you have completely maxed out the Stygia that you could possibly, and the reputation that you could possibly farm. So this is a very nice tip, so you can get the most out of it if you really want to min-max everything. Of course, some people don't want to risk going to 5, but in my experience, going to 5 is really not that big of a deal, because you do have 2 minutes approximately to still get out, especially if you have the Cipher of Relocation to get back. And you can also just Hearthstone out if you don't have the Cipher, right? So definitely don't be worried to hit level 5 unless you're in a really dangerous area and you have no way of getting out of there. Now, another thing that I want to mention is that you should not be risking too many things if you have a lot of Stygia later on, right? Because all of these things that I've been talking about with the min-maxing, this is all fine at the very start when you have little Stygia, because the Stygia that you lose when you die is percentage based. So if you only have 500, 1,000, 2,000 Stygia, then 17% is not going to be that much in case you do not manage to get back to your body. But if you have 10,000 Stygia or even more, and then you're going to lose 17% of it, that's going to be a lot. So definitely make sure that you decrease the amount of risks you're taking, the more Stygia you have accumulated on your character. Another thing, probably don't have war mode on if you have a lot of Stygia, because bad things can happen with the opposite faction killing you. All right, this is it for all the information I have about the MAW. I really hope this helped you out, and I really hope this is going to make it a little bit easier for you to go through the MAW and to explore that area. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video, and I hope you're going to watch some more of my videos, and I'll see you on my stream over at twitch.tv Naguura. Goodbye, guys. Bye.